You've had the same argument 100 times. It might be about chores or a missed deadline or the tone someone used. You both leave angry, nothing gets solved, and a week later, you're having the exact same fight. The reason it keeps happening is that you're not actually arguing about the real problem. This endless loop, this conversational Groundhog Day, is one of the most exhausting experiences in any relationship, professional or personal. It feels like you're stuck. But what if you could break that cycle for good? In this video, we're going to dive into a powerful framework synthesized from deep research into human psychology and communication that explains exactly why this happens and how to stop it. The goal is to help you transform these high-stakes moments. Instead of defaulting to a fight where nobody wins, you'll learn how to get your point across clearly and respectfully, ensuring you not only get heard, but you actually solve the problem together. First, we'll uncover the hidden layers of every argument, so you can finally pinpoint what you're really fighting about. Then we'll look at the critical first step, how to win the battle with your own emotions before the conversation even starts. And finally, I'll give you a simple, step-by-step method for voicing your concerns in a way that invites discussion, not defensiveness. We all know that sinking feeling. The conversation starts, and you realize you've been here before. It feels like you're both just replaying a script. This is the déjà vu dialogue, and it's a sign that you're fighting about the wrong thing entirely. To see what's really going on, we need to understand that almost every conflict happens on one of three levels. The key to stopping the fight is to correctly identify which level you're really on. Let's call this tool the CPR method for content, pattern, and relationship. It starts with content. This is the surface level issue. It's the specific thing that just happened. It's the overflowing trash can, the late arrival, the single sarcastic comment. Most arguments live and die right here, in a pointless battle over who's right about this one event. So you say, "You didn't take the trash out like you said you would." They reply, "I was busy. I was going to get to it." You argue about the definition of busy and the exact time you asked. Nothing is solved, because the trash itself is rarely the real problem. This is where we need to dig one level deeper, to the pattern. This is not about the one time the trash was full, it's about all the other times it's happened. A pattern is a recurring behavior, so the conversation shifts. It's no longer, "You forgot the trash today," it's, "This is the fourth time this month I've had to bring this up. I'm concerned it's becoming a pattern." See how the stakes just got higher? We're getting warmer. We're closer to the real issue. But even the pattern isn't the true source of the conflict. That leads us to the heart of the matter, the relationship. The relationship level isn't about the facts or the frequency. It's about the impact the pattern is having on trust and respect between you. It's about the story that's being created. The conversation is not about the trash anymore. It's about what the pattern of forgotten trash means. It's, "When you repeatedly don't do the things you say you will, it makes me feel like you don't respect our home or my time. I start to feel like I can't rely on you, and I feel less like your partner and more like your parent." That is the real issue. That is where the pain and frustration live. The reason you have the same fight over and over is that you're having a relationship level problem, but you keep trying to solve it with a content level argument. It's like trying to fix a leaky foundation by repeatedly painting over the crack in the wall. You're fixing the symptom, not the cause. So the first step is to stop and ask yourself, what is this fight really about? Am I mad about the trash, or am I hurt because I feel disrespected? Now that you can spot the real issue, you have to prepare yourself, because if you go in with accusation and anger, even the most valid point will just start another fight. The first step to changing the conversation is changing the story in your own head. Before you ever say a word, the most important conversation has already started. It's the one happening inside your own head. And this is where most fights are secretly born. Think about it. When someone does something that upsets you, they miss a deadline, they make a promise they don't keep, your mind immediately starts to tell a story about it, and it's usually not a very generous one. We automatically cast them as the villain. The story isn't just they missed the deadline. It's they're lazy, or they don't respect me, or they're actively trying to make me look bad. We turn them from a complex person who made a mistake into a one-dimensional character with bad motives. This villain story feels good for a moment. It makes us feel righteous and justified. But it's a trap, because that story is the fuel for the fire of conflict. It generates powerful emotions: anger, resentment, contempt. Your blood starts to simmer, your jaw tightens, your tone gets a little sharper. Without even realizing it, you're preparing for battle. Your body language broadcasts judgment before you've even laid out the facts, and the other person feels that hostility instantly. They don't know the story you're telling, they just know they feel attacked. So they attack back, and the fight begins. To stop the fight, you have to rewrite that story. You have to win the battle with yourself first. The skill is to interrupt that internal monologue with one powerful question. Why would a reasonable, rational, and decent person do what they just did? This question is a circuit breaker. It forces your brain to stop looking for evidence to support the villain story and start searching for other possibilities. Maybe they weren't being lazy. Maybe they were overwhelmed with another urgent task they were afraid to tell you about. Maybe they weren't being disrespectful. Maybe they completely misunderstood the instructions. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it performs a kind of magic on your emotions. It replaces your anger and certainty with curiosity, and curiosity doesn't start fights. Once you've calmed your own emotions and moved from seeing a villain to seeing a human, you're finally ready to speak. But how you bring it up is everything. Next, we'll cover a precise method for speaking your truth in a way that invites dialogue, not defensiveness. So you've done the internal work, you've diffused your own anger, and you're approaching this with curiosity instead of contempt. Now comes the moment of truth. You have to actually speak. This isn't about being soft or watering down your message. It's about being strategic. There's a 5-step method for saying what you need to say in a way that makes it safe for the other person to listen. It's called STATE. First, S, share your facts. Start with the facts and only the facts. Facts are the least controversial, most objective things you can talk about. They are the neutral ground where the conversation can safely begin. It's not, you blew off the deadline. It's, I noticed the project was due yesterday and it hasn't been submitted. It's not, you never listened to me. It's, when I was speaking just now, I noticed you were looking at your phone. You're just laying out what you saw or heard, which is hard to argue with. Next, T, tell your story. This is where you share the conclusion you've started to draw based on those facts. But, and this is critical, you state it as your story, not as a universal truth. You own your interpretation. Instead of saying, you don't care about this project, you say, the story I'm telling myself is that this project isn't a priority right now. This small shift in language is huge. It takes the accusation out of it and presents your feeling as something to be explored, not defended against. Then, A, ask for their path. This is the moment you turn a potential monologue into a real dialogue. After you've shared your side, you genuinely invite them to share theirs. You show that your goal is understanding, not winning. You say, but I'm sure there's a side to this I'm not seeing. Can you help me understand what happened from your perspective? You are actively making space for their story. The last 2 steps are about how you deliver your message. T, talk tentatively, and E, encourage testing. Talking tentatively means using phrases that signal you don't have a monopoly on the truth. Words like, I'm beginning to wonder if, or it seems to me that. This isn't being weak, it's being accurate. Your story is your perspective, not a fact. And encouraging testing is where you actively invite them to challenge you. Does anyone see it differently? Or, if I'm wrong here, please tell me. This shows confidence, not weakness. It says, I'm willing to have my view changed because I care more about the truth than about being right. But what if you do all this and you still see that look on their face? The crossed arms, the clenched jaw, the signs of a fight brewing? This is when you pull out the master tool, contrasting. It's a conversational fire extinguisher. It's a simple don't do statement that instantly clarifies your intent. You pause and say, hold on, I don't want you to think I'm blaming you or that I'm unhappy with your work overall. I do want to talk about this specific issue because I value our relationship and I want to find a solution that works for both of us. With that one move, you rebuild safety. You show respect, you clarify your purpose, and you make it possible to get back to solving the problem. By combining these tools, you're not just avoiding a fight, you're building a stronger, more resilient relationship. Let's bring it all together. That feeling of being stuck in a loop, having the same argument over and over again, that isn't a life sentence. It's a symptom of a broken method. Difficult conversations don't have to end in a fight. Conflict is inevitable, but combat is a choice. By shifting your goal from winning an argument to building a shared understanding, you become the architect of the conversation, not its victim. So here's where you can start. The next time you feel that familiar frustration rising, try this. First, just ask yourself, what is this really about? The incident, the pattern, or our relationship? Just identifying it changes everything. And second, before you speak, ask that one internal question. Why would a reasonable, rational person do this? Notice how it lowers your own emotional temperature. This isn't about being soft, it's about being effective. It's about having the courage to trade the short-term satisfaction of being right for the long-term strength of a relationship that can solve problems together. And that's how you handle the toughest conversations without ever starting a fight. Now I want to turn it over to you. Think about that one recurring argument in your own life. Based on what we've discussed, what do you now realize the real problem is? Is it the content, the pattern, or the relationship? If this framework was helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe for more strategies on how to communicate with clarity and impact.